then we'll start from there. Now, that is one thing why GitHub is very important. Let's say I have more than one system, one in the office, one at home. When I'm done working in the office, I can push it to GitHub, then come to the house, clone it to my local system, run it that night, and then push it again, go to office, and then clone it again, just like that. So I can have multiple systems and none of it is going to stop me. Yes, I want to believe I am recording this class. Yes, I am. So this is the code here. And if you look at it, I have just the index.js, which is the main file, the package lock, and the package.json. The node modules is not here, just these three files. That is because no matter what you do, you don't push node modules to GitHub. GitHub will not even allow you. So you don't push node modules to GitHub. So what I can do is I can download this as a zip file if I want, or I will just clone. Clone means I will copy this URL, this one here, or copy this one here. They're the same thing. So I'll just copy the URL. We're going to end the Git terminal towards the end of the class when it's time to deploy, because we're going to be deploying this project. Every project we build will deploy it. So if you're going to be deploying, you will need I can't find this thing here. You will need GitHub to deploy. So here it is. What I would do is, I think I don't have it here, so I'll just create a new backend folder here. If you can download it, but I'm not downloading it. If you download it, you will need to unzip it because you are downloading as zip. So, but what I can do is use my terminal to clone, which you will learn how to do pretty soon. So I will just say git clone and then paste the URL. That's all. And for those who didn't see it the last time, you just git clone and then paste the URL I copied. That's how you download it. If you do it this way, you don't need to unzip it. Git clone, paste the URL and hit enter. So to start downloading the files, and this is it. It has downloaded everything in that repository. So if I open my backend, you will see I have Node.js intro here. I can then open this up with VS Code. So I have VS Code open. Please, why did you not reach? Okay, yeah, please, if you have any issues, try to reach out to somebody. Now, in as much as we are grading, we're not looking for best students. We want everybody as much as possible to grab it, which is why I'm taking my time. My goal is not here to make you feel, even though I have to be strict at some point, especially the assignment. By default, Friday is always the deadline for assignment. If we're going to start on Saturday, most of the things I might be teaching on Saturday will be corrections or related to the assignment. Now, what good would I be doing if I still open the assignment on Saturday again? So that part is actually tricky, but I'm still considering it, whether I will open that assignment for the last time. But if I open it, it will be the very last time. But I'm not sure if I'll open it. I'm still considering it. So Friday, 12 a.m. assignment is closed. By Saturday is a different day. Okay. Friday, 12 p.m. So I'm still considering it, whether I'll open the assignment or not. But if I open it today, just know it will be the last time. It's Friday, and Friday it is. So I have my codes here. These are what we did in the last class. For those who were in class, I want to believe you understand what the name is, the version, the main, keywords, author. Now the same things. 12 a.m. Friday. As in, just say 11 p.m. Friday. 11 p.m. Friday. Okay, now if I try to run this project like this, it will not run. Node index.js. It will not run. You will not see it hanging, even though it's hanging. And I think my VS Code is actually the one doing it. A little advanced. Yeah. So, but it will not run because I don't have node modules here. So when you clone a project and when you download it, it's going to come without the node modules. And if you try to run it without the node modules, it will not run. So what you do is install the node modules first. How I would do that would be to say npm install. Now I will not type anything to install. I will just say npm install. Npm install means go to this package.json file, find all the dependencies that are here and install all of them one by one. The same version. Keep them the same. So you see why the package.json file is very important. I can lose the node modules, I can lose the package lock, but the package.json file, I cannot lose it. Because if npm is going to install anything, it will need to know what dependencies I used in building that project in the first place. Then it will install. So if I hit enter, because it's only Express I have, it's not going to install it because I have security here. So I'll say sugar npm install. Then put my password. Now you don't have to do this. I'm doing it because my own is protected. So now I have node modules here. If you look at it, I have node modules here. So if I run my project now, it will run. We're going to go to that later. So but for now, let's just continue. Node index.js. Hit enter, and now I know it's running, even though I don't see anything. You understand? I know it's running. But for today's class, we're going to take it a step further. And I want to say this. Most of the things you will do for the first 6 months as a backend developer, you have absolutely no idea what it is. I'm actually trying to give you an understanding what it is, why we're doing it, and so on. But for me, when I started learning coding, I learned it on my own. I used YouTube videos, I read documentations without coming to a proper class. So most of the things I did, I was just doing them. I had no idea what it is. As a matter of fact, my first project, I think it was a real estate platform. Most of the things I did, authentication, admin, staff, I had no idea. I wasn't in depth. I didn't have that in-depth knowledge, but I know when it's working and when it's not working. So I don't know how to speak for somebody who is passing through, like say, a learning process, an organized learning. You may understand what you're doing, but even if you don't understand what you're doing, just grab it like that, use it like that. With time, you understand what you're doing. And for backend, the same way I am setting up this backend project will still be the same way you will set up any backend project. So if you follow me to the end of the setup, that means you've learned one thing: how to set up any backend project. So maybe by the end of this class, we're going to decide what project I will build, my own project, because I will build one. Then I will then decide the project you people will build. So I'll cancel this with Ctrl C and close it. All right. If we are good to go and please drop a thumbs up so that we can continue today's class. You're not seeing mine. Okay. On which interface do you git clone? You will need a terminal. You can also do it here on this git bash terminal. If you open this git VS Code in a folder first, you need to open it in a folder first, then before you can actually clone. Please drop a thumbs up. How do I cancel an infinity loop? Infinity loop, just try keep pressing Ctrl C, Ctrl C. Most time it doesn't work. You have to restart your system. But in any case, just try Ctrl C. You should. All right, my server is set up, but it's not complete. Okay. What is the default type for JavaScript variable? Default type? I have no idea what you mean by default type. JavaScript, normal JavaScript doesn't even do types. It's actually TypeScript that does types. But maybe you explain later. So my server is here, but it's not giving me exactly what I want. We're going to enhance it a little. When the server starts running, I want to know that the server is running, not just by it hanging. If it's hanging, that's fine, but I want to know. Let it tell me that the server is running, so I will know that the server is running. So if I deploy this project, and as I'm deploying to the server, I will wait for it on the server for it to tell me from the cloud that it is running. So that is what I want to add here. Inside this listen, I will put comma and then put an arrow function. And forgive me, you're going to see a lot of arrow functions because they are shorter. So you can put any function you want here, any unnamed function actually. So I'm putting an arrow function here. Once it starts listening, this function will run. The moment the server starts listening, this function will run. And then what will this function do? Nothing. Just console log server is running. That's all. Console log for me, server is running, or server started running. Any grammar that suits you. Server started running. Sorry. So the moment my server starts singing, it will run this arrow function. And what the arrow function will do will be to console log the server started running. So I'll save that and try again on the terminal. So I will try on the terminal node index.js. My index is not correct. Hit enter. So here it says server started running. Now this is how I know that my server is running. Am I recording? Let me confirm. Yes, it's recording. Okay, this is how you know that the server is running. That is one step forward. We are good to go. Now, the next thing I want to do, I explained to you that the port can be set on the cloud, or you also set your port. But with the way this is, our port here constant, 7,000. Now, we don't want to use our own port by default because we want it to be a little secret. Now, if they don't provide it, fine. But if they do, we will not know. Nobody will know. Even though we can make a guess, we're not sure what it is. So what I would do is I'll come down again and then define my port. I'll say const port, capital letters. My port. I'm trying to define what the port will be. And if you notice, you see I'm using capital letters. This is because this port is a very important variable that needs to be secret. So anytime you see backend, anywhere on the backend you see a particular variable defined with all capital letters, that variable is supposed to be secret. So that's how you know environmental variable. Exactly. Environmental variables are variables that are supposed to be secret. So my port is going to come from the process.environment.port, or it should fall back to 7,000. So the process environment on the server, the server has a process environment. There's going to be a variable there called port. Use that one there. If that one doesn't pick up, then fall back to 7,000. Yes, I am recording. Yes, I am. So this is how I define my port. So what will be here now will no longer be 7,000, but this port, because it can either be 7,000 or something else. We don't know what it might be. So this is how I define my port. And if you notice, my server is not restarting. The server is running with the changes it had as at the time it started running. So if you make new changes, the server will not pick it up automatically. The server needs to stop running and restart again to pick up updates. So my server is now restarting, and that's another error. Debug mode should be activated, and so on. We will get to all of it. So now this is how I set up my server. I'm making sure that my port is coming from the process environment, but my server is not running. I will need to cancel this server, the Ctrl+C, cancel it, and then run it again, node index.js, and it says server is running. But that's not enough. I can go further. Yes, Nodemon. I can go further to say when the server starts running, I want to know the port it is using. I want to know the port. So what I can do is use concatenation here. Instead of this, I'll put backticks and then come here and say server running on $port. So whatever port it is running on, I want to see it logged down here. So right now, the server is not picking up this update. It's still saying server started running. You need to cancel it with Ctrl+C and then run it again. And it says server started running on 7,000. Currently, there is no environmental variable. That is why it is falling back to 7,000. If I have an environmental variable, it will not use 7,000. All right. So do you understand to this point before I continue? Please, if you do, drop a thumbs up so that we continue. All right. So I will cancel this. We need a package. Are you kidding me? Don't worry, you're going to watch the videos and they are pretty straightforward. We didn't do much except you didn't follow the last class. That is where you not understand. But like I said, as a backend developer, most of the things you will do, you don't understand it. Just do it. Because for backend, it follows the same system. Now, how would I explain this? Let me go to LinkedIn and then find a particular job interview. If I will see one, today is Sunday. There should be one for Friday. No, do people post jobs on Friday or Thursdays? I don't know. Let's find something. When it comes to backend follows a system. Now, even though you can be creative, change it, but you will see that the format are almost the same. So even if you don't understand it, but you do it like that, it is exactly the same thing everywhere. Even though you go to China. I remember sitting for an interview by South Korean guys. Those guys, yeah, they are good, but we still have people in Nigeria that are also very good. So even what they were asking me, they're still the same thing. What we did are still the same thing. So for me, I never felt like, what is the big deal? So Nigerians, not saying Nigerians are not good, but whatever I'm teaching you here is the same thing anywhere. You don't understand it, it's fine. Do it exactly the way it is here on the screen. I'm looking strange. Exactly. It's going to look strange. So let's find a job interview. Node.js developer. Node.js backend developer. And then add the hiring. Where's the hashtag? Hashtag hiring. Hit enter. Now for some of these interviews, or will I call them, what's here? This is no for the past. Where do I fit that now? Post, go to post, and then date posted past 24 hours. Sure, past 24 hours may not be correct, but it's fine. So this is urgent hiring, senior code reviewer. Where is the code? But this is for just reviewing codes. You're not writing code. Okay, but they are also adding Python or any backend at all. But nevertheless, I wanted backend so that they show you exactly. Now, if you see here, they say the proficiency in Git and GitHub. This is always compulsory. And then CI/CD is compulsory too. We're going to do all of it. CI/CD, and this is not exactly what I want. I need not just Node.js, just Node.js. We are hiring Node.js backend. I just want to show you the requirement, what it will be, so that you know you don't have to understand it. You just have to do it like that. They say do it like that, just do it like that. For now, maintain and write code, HTML, RESTful API. Here you have Git and CI/CD again. Not much. The body is okay. Skilled, employee, develop, scalable. Okay, proficiency. Nobody is actually putting what I want to see. So what I want to show you is that they will always put express.js, put the server, put a few things. Once you understand those things, that is all you need to do. Whether you know how it's working or not, it's fine. For now, you're going to, with time, before we go to 2 weeks of writing code, you will get to understand it. So why is not restarting during development? Now, this is the case. When the server is deployed, you don't want it to be restarting every time on development. But now that I'm going to be writing changes, making updates, I want it to be picking up the updates automatically. If it is going to be picking up the updates automatically, so that means it has to be restarting automatically. So I need a dependency that is going to be restarting it every single time. If I go to npm.js, npm.js is actually the node package manager. So on npm.js, there is a package called Nodemon. Nodemon. Some people call it Nodemon, Nodemon, however you want to pronounce it. Node and then mon. So Nodemon is a package network, really. Nodemon is a package that helps you restart the server. Yep. So I can find, this is the exact match, Nodemon. So there's no point going through the documentation. I don't have that time. So I'm going to install Nodemon. I'll say npm I Nodemon. This is how you do it. Npm install Nodemon. And I want you to understand why you are installing Nodemon. You are installing Nodemon for Nodemon to keep restarting the server. And why do you want to restart the server? I think my network is a little shaky. So why do you want to restart the server? Give me a minute. Let me restart this. All right, welcome back. Please drop a thumbs up if you can see my screen and you can hear me. I had to restart my router. I have no idea why I was doing that. Okay. Where I stopped at is trying to install Nodemon, and you know why you are installing Nodemon. The Nodemon will help us restart the server. Exactly, Nodemon is a dev dependency. I was coming to that. So this is how we will install a dependency normally. But because Nodemon is a dev dependency, we only need Nodemon while we are developing. We don't need it when we deploy. So that is why it is called a dev dependency. So you don't install it like this. Now, even though you install it like this, it will not be used on deployment. So, but for the sake of professionalism, I will add a capital D before the Nodemon. So, capital D simply means install Nodemon as a dev dependency. npm I. Now, you can write this I complete. I know I talked about that in the last class. So, npm install as a dev dependency Nodemon. Install Nodemon as a dev dependency. My screen is not showing. I'll try again. Just give me a minute to stop sharing and share again. All right. Sorry. Confirm if you can actually see my screen. Confirm if you can see my screen. All right. So this is how I would install it normally. Enter as a dev dependencies. Now, I will try as much as I can to make sure I explain whatever we're doing. But even if you don't understand it, just do it like that. First, at least for the first 2 weeks, do it like that. First, there will be time to go over whatever you don't understand. There'll be time, but let's make sure we complete the project. So I will try installing. Now, mine is not going to install like that because I have a little security, but for you, it will install. So I will go with sudo, then put in my password and install. That's it. But make sure you are installing as a dev dependency. So I have Nodemon installed here, and you should see it under dev dependencies, not under the normal dependencies. Nodemon is under dev dependencies, not under the normal dependencies. So what that means is I can either run my server with Node or run my server with Nodemon. Both of them works. So, and you know the difference. Node is not going to restart the server, but Nodemon will keep restarting the server after every changes. So what I can do is say Nodemon index.js. Instead of Node now, I'm using Nodemon. And it says cannot find Nodemon. Okay, and I understand this. It's part of my system, but it might work for you. It might work for you. Now, the professional way to do it is not to type Nodemon index.js. No, that's not the professional way to do it. The professional way to do it is to set a script. After you have installed Nodemon, you are sure and you are seeing Nodemon here. You set up a script. You put command here and set up a script. The first one is the start script. The second one is the dev script. Now, this is very, very important. The start script and the dev script. Now, this test script is you can delete it if you want, but it's not needed. These are the two important scripts you want to set. The start script that is going to start it when you deploy it. The dev script, the one you are going to use to run it while you are developing. So that's the two of them. Now, what is the start script? For the start script, I want Node to run the index.js. That's the start script. But for the dev script, I want Nodemon to run the index.js. So whenever I call start, it means that Node should run index.js. But if I call div, then Nodemon should run index.js. Does that make sense? If it makes sense, please drop a thumbs up. If it does make sense, please drop a thumbs up. Yes. So for every single time, you must set up script. Now you can set up more than one script. I have so many scripts sometimes, but you don't need so many scripts. You need the script that the ones you need. So if you have a reason for it, you put a script. You have a reason for it, you put a script. So, but 2 scripts is enough to build a professional backend. But as you keep going on, you might have the need to say, let me turn this to a script. Let me turn this to a script. Let me turn this to a script, as the case might be. But these 2 scripts are very, very important. One, to start it. Now, the start script is the most important, because by the time you deploy it to any cloud, the cloud there is going to call start for you. So that is what they will call. If you don't have a start script, the server will not start. So any cloud you deploy on is going to call the start script. That is default. Everybody knows that. Start for the cloud. Now, but the dev, I'm just adding it for myself. You can call it anything you want, because this one is for you. But the start is for the cloud. I don't know if that makes sense. So I'll just reduce this to dev and save it. So what I can do now is, instead of calling it directly, I will call the name of the script simply npm dev. So when I call npm dev and it says, did you mean npm run dev? Of course, that's what I meant. What's the question? Where are you typing the script? In your package.json, this is package.json, you should see the scripts here. So you put comma after this test script and then let me write it again so that you can see it. Now, the first thing you do is put comma after this first script, and then put your first quote, write start, all small letters. All small letters. Then you put comma here again, because I want to add the dev script. This is how you write your script. I've created the start script and the dev script. So, but inside the start script, I will say Node should run the index.js. Node is going to run the index.js. And then on the dev script, I will say Nodemon run the index.js. This is how you write your script. So if I want to run it, I will say npm run the dev script, hit enter, and it will start running it with Nodemon. And it says server started running on 7,000. What if there are so many JavaScript files in the, of course there are going to be so many JavaScript files. Like, there's a project I'm currently on which is giving me headache. It has been built, it has been built for over 2 years, and they expect me to finish everything on the project, like know everything on the project back to back. The developers that wrote it, they've left it. The board has handed over to me, or the CEO has handed over to me, and he keeps asking me questions of what is in different JavaScript files, which I don't know. So there are going to be so many JavaScript files, but because in your package.json file, you specified that the main file is the index.js. That is the only one that matters the most. The index.js. All right, so to test that this thing is picking it up, I'll change this to 5,000 and save it. You see the server restarted and server is running on port 5,000. I will change it to 4,000 and save it. It restarted running on 1,000. Let's do one last time. 8,000. The server restarted and is running on 8,000. So I don't need to restart the server every single time. the server will be restarting itself automatically and picking up the changes. Do you understand to this point? Now, this is setup. I have completed the first phase of the setup. If you understand it, please drop a thumbs up. Now, not for people who did not understand yesterday's class. Focus on the one we are doing today. Forget about yesterday's one. So we can continue. Now, in continuing, I want to stop using this terminal here. I want to use git bash. This is git bash, but I want to use an external terminal. So I'm going to cancel this. Cancel it. I want to use a terminal. So I'm getting unknown commands. Check what you typed here. Be sure that you get these things. And then if you call npm run and it doesn't work, then remove the run. Call npm, then the name of the script. Anyway, it must work. So just make sure that these things are correct first. Then if you call run and it doesn't work, then change it to just the name. So I want to use not integrated terminal, the normal terminal. How you do that is you go to the project folder, make sure it is on the project where you are seeing package.json file. Where you are seeing package.json file, make sure it is here. So I'm going to open this folder with my terminal, right click on it and open with my terminal. Your script is on the line because it's not correct now. There's something I want to believe by now we are getting used to codes. Nobody's a newbie. So we should actually understand. Then put the run. If it's not working, put the run. So you should actually look at my codes and understand what I'm doing here. This is like a JSON file, like object actually. So this is like an object, but the difference is everything is appearing in double quotes. So even though you don't know, you should know that these are the keys. These are this thing. So the only difference is these things that are inside it. Yes, the keys and the values. So as I'm calling the values, you should know what it is. If I call the name of the key, you know what it is. If I call the value, you know what it is. Being underlined means it's not correct because there's no way to be correct and be underlined. Now you can actually remove this one if you want, and it will be gone. The most important thing there is the dev and the start. So, but I don't like removing it so that mine will look the same like your own in case you're going through it back and forth. So I have opened it on the terminal. Now, some people will want to do the same thing I'm doing. The reason why I'm opening on the terminal is I want to have space to type. I don't want this thing to cover it. I want to have space. So on this terminal here, you see that it is actually opened on the same folder. This is Node.js intro. And if you come to my browser, my VS Code, it is also Node.js intro. Both of them have to be opened on the same folder, not one step above, not the parent folder, the folder that contains package.json file. That's where it should be opened. A lot of person will make this mistake and it will not run. So I'm going to type in here npm run dev. If you type dev and it doesn't work, change it, remove the run. But if you remove the run, it doesn't work, put the run. Just change it like that. For different terminals, it might be different. So I have it here. My server is running on port 8000 and all of these, they are good to go. So with this now, I have set up my server and my server is listening. So I need to start testing it, whether it is actually listening to outside requests back and forth and sending a response back, because that is how you know that your server is working. It will listening for an external request and be sending a response to that particular place. No, which one? sorry, is it okay? That was before. Okay, before. All right. This is where Postman comes in. Postman, the reason why we are using Postman is because we cannot build a website right now or build a mobile app right now and use it to test our backend. We cannot. So there is an already built application that we can use. App crashed for file changes before starting. Go to the top of this error message. You will see the error message. Go to the top. You will see the error message. Go to the top. So we are using Postman to demonstrate what the website or mobile app will do as they are interacting with our backend. So this is where Postman is. By now you should have Postman and you open the Postman. If the server has been set up and it is now listening for requests on port 8000, then we need to send a request to it and be sure that it is actually listening for requests. Don't mind me, I'm just trying to group what I'll do with you guys, but you don't have to do this. You don't have so many workspaces, but I do. Let's, yeah. Processing instruction not defined. I will need to see. Can you take it like, but you are sure that your script is okay? And your server, we haven't done much. We didn't do much changes here apart from adding the port and possibly the console log message. So just confirm that what you have is okay and it should work. Nothing would stop it. But I would have loved to see the message myself. Yes. Okay, so I have Postman. I have to set up my team. Blah, blah, blah. Where did I go? I didn't want to do teams something here. I just wanted to do. It is that index.js serves as our server. Yes, the index.js is the main part of the server. It's not the entire server on the entire backend, but it contains the server. So that's why it's the main file. The server is the part of the backend that is running 247 and listening to requests. So once it listens to requests, it will then decide what API to call. The APIs will live in another file or any other place, but the server lives in the main file. The main file. So I'm trying to open my Postman. You should open your Postman too. Why does it keep asking me to create a team? Just call it coordinator. Index.js can be named server.js. If you name it server.js, make sure, actually small letters, but make sure that is what is in your post on your package.json, that the main file is server.js. Otherwise, it will not work. So when you open your Postman, I don't know what you will be seeing on your Postman, but this is where you are looking at to click on collections. Click on it. If you don't find anything, it's fine. But this plus button here, click on it. You should see something that looks like this. Now, yours may not be divided vertically, but mine is divided vertically. Yours might be divided horizontally. There is a lot on Postman. You don't need to bother about it. Just focus on the ones I am showing you. Leave the rest. There are so many things on Postman. Leave the rest. Focus on the ones I'm showing you. If you are not seeing this thing, click on the plus button and you should see this. If yours is divided horizontally and you want it to be divided vertically, you go to settings and then change it. It's called what is it called, two panel view. Yes, this two panel view, you set it, it's going to be divided vertically. But if that's not the case, you want it horizontal, you can keep it horizontal. I like mine to be vertical because I use here for the requests what the mobile app or what the website will be sending, and I use here for response what my backend is sending back. This is a different application. Even though it is running on my computer, it is an entirely different application. My backend is entirely a different application. Now, the two of them don't know that they are both running on my laptop. They don't know. So it's not because I'm running it on the same laptop, that is why they will communicate. No, they will communicate because the server is already listening. So if you connect to it and send a request to that particular port, it will respond no matter where it's coming from. So this is my Postman, and I want to believe you've also opened your own Postman. So yes, it might be different. That's what I'm saying. Postman, yours might be different. Yours can also be white. I don't want to make mine white. You can go here, change the settings, appearance, and themes. Change the themes to black if you want. And also, if you want it to be two panel, come to settings, general settings, and you will see two panel view. That will give you the vertical division. But it must not be like mine for it to work. You can keep it anyhow. I like keeping mine like this. I will try and zoom in again. Yes, click on REST API basic. Now, the APIs we are going to be building are called REST APIs. Now, in case you go to any interview or application and they ask you, they're looking for somebody who knows how to build REST API or RESTful API. So long as you see REST there, REST just knows the API we're building. Okay, so I don't know if your Postman is opened. We want to test my own server. So how do you test the server? That will take us to another definition. So I'll come here and write a few things. There is get, there is post, there is put, there is patch, there is delete. What other one? I think there are 5. These are the different types of requests an application can make to your backend. We are done setting up the server, and I want to believe you'll catch that one. We want to test the server. To test the server, you need to make a request. So, but there are different types of requests that can be made to your server. As a backend, you will be the one to decide what type of request they should make and what they will get. They don't worry about the REST and the RESTful API. Just know we're building RESTful API. Once we get to RESTful API, we'll talk about APIs. Now we're talking about requests and the request types. Once the server is already listening, is running, you start sending requests to it. But there are different types of requests. There is a get request, there is a post request, there is a put request, There's a patch request and there is a delete request. What is a get request? Any request that you make to the backend to give you something is called a get request. You are just making a request. So you are just saying, dear backend, give me this. Either give me the profile details of this person, give me the image of this person, give me the score of this person, just give me something. That is called a get request. You are not sending anything. You are just saying, give me something. That is a get request. A get request, any request where you are demanding for something from the backend is a get request. A post request, you are sending data to the backend. Dear backend, take this data and save it. That is a post request. Now, fetch is used on the front end. It is not used on the back end. But yes, it is the same thing as fetch. But with fetch is a general keyword. Inside the fetch request, you can define the method, whether it's a get or a post or a put or patch. But by default, a fetch request is a get request. But inside the fetch request, you can also make a post request. But that's on the front end. We don't use it on the back end. The backend is the one that actually specifies what the request will be. So when you're making a fetch request, you then define what the method should be based on what the backend has already set. So a post request, you are sending something to the backend to take it and save it for you. Anytime you are sending something to the backend, it's called a post request. You are sending something to the backend, take it and then save it, possibly save it. That's a post request. The second one is a put, and then the third one is a patch request. How you know your Nodemon is running? Try calling the script npm run dev. That is the name of the script. Run npm run dev. If it's working, you should see your server running like mine is running like this now. So that's how you know your server is running. If I save this with Ctrl X, you'll see my server restarts and it's picking it up again. So you said the post and the put is what? Now, a post request is you are sending something to the backend, possibly to save it, but you are just sending something. A get request, you are not sending anything, you just want to get something. So a post request, you must be sent, not must, but you are sending something. Now, a put and a patch request are the same thing or almost the same thing. They work like post requests. You are sending something to the backend, but for the post and put, now for the put and the patch, what you are sending already exists. For a post request, what you are sending does not or may not be existing. Yes, but for a put and a patch request, you are sending data. You are sending data that is already there, but you want to modify, you want to change, you want to update the data that is already on the database. So that's put and patch. But the difference between them is, for a put request, you are updating the entire data. But for a patch request, you are just updating part of the data. For example, I remember when I taught a student, there was this time MTN was doing, you need to come and update your NIN, you need to come and update your NIN. So one of my students was hired to work with them, updating NIN. Let's take that as an example. MTN already have your data when you bought the SIM card and you registered it. They already have your data, your name, your location, and all of that. But they don't have your NIN. So they need your NIN to be included as part of your data. Now, the backend is going to modify it to make a put request. No, not a put, a patch request. Or he can decide to make it a put or a patch. But if it is a put request, updating the entire data, So they will just discard the old data that is there and replace it with a new one. But if it's a patch request, they are just updating the incorrect one or the missing one. So that's the difference between patch. Patch, when something just there, you're not throwing it away, you just patch it. But a put request, you are throwing it away and you're getting a new one. That's a put request. Whereas a delete request, you are just asking the backend to delete something for you from the backend. So these are the 5 types of requests you'll be making. You will be the one to decide what kind of request it will be. And you will also tell the front end, this is the type of request you should make. And this is the response you will get. So that's why it's important to know the request type. So the first request type we want to do is called a GET request. I will start with GET. App.get. Why am I calling app? Because this is my backend. I called it app. And my app is running on Express. So I am saying if there is a GET request on my app, the app here, I'm referring to my backend. You can call it server if you want. The app here is my backend. So I'm saying if there is a GET request on my app. So, but I'm not going to handle it yet. I want to explain another thing called endpoint. Endpoint. In the backend, you are going to have so many APIs that are doing so many things. Each API is handling a functionality. Each API is handling a functionality. So, but how will the front end know the API that is handling anything? It is by the name of that API. So the endpoint is the name of the API. So if you are making any request, you need. All right. Sorry. So I'll take that again. When you're building APIs, the front end needs to know your APIs by their name. So when they are making requests, they know the APIs that they are making that request to. Now, it is when they make a request to your server, the particular name of an API. The API, yeah, the URL is there. The URL is part of it. You attach the endpoint to the URL. The URL is like a general thing for all of them that connects to your backend. But the APIs are the the endpoints are the individual APIs you will be building for different requests. So endpoint simply means the name of API. For example, an API to get all the users will be called /all users, or you call it /users, like that. An API to edit your profile, you can call it /edit profile or /edit user profile. Now there is no naming standard. How you choose to name it, that is how it will be. But you name it something that relates to what it is doing. If it is to delete a user, you call the API /delete user. If it's to whatever it is, you just name it something that relates to what that API is doing. Now, this my API is to test the server. So I can write /test server. So that is the name of this endpoint. /test server is to test the server. Now the front end will need this endpoint because by the time they start calling your APIs, they want to first test whether the server is listening or whether they have connected to the server. So that is why this one is always important, the first one. So when I call a GET request, on my app at this endpoint, what do I want to happen? I want the function to run. Sorry, I'm using another arrow function. So my app.get at /test server, comma, then a function. All of these things put together is what we refer to as API. All of them put together is referred to as API. The app, the request type, the endpoint, which is the name of the API, and the function to handle the request is called API. So when you hear an API, this thing grouped together. So that means you're going to have so many of these things, so many of them, and they are all called APIs. What this API is going to do is to send a welcome message to the front end and say possibly welcome to our backend, welcome to our server, as the case may be, and so on and so forth. So how is that done? The request, I will accept the request and accept the response object. That's default. And then here, I can then say, I want to send a response dot send like this. And what do I want to send? Welcome to CareerEx server, like this. Now, it might look difficult, but it's not difficult. This is how you build a standard API. I'm calling this the name of the API, and I have a function to handle the API. Now, this is response. I didn't spell it well. This is supposed to be response, and the response must match what is here. So you accept the request. That's what the API does. Accept the request and send a response. The response I want to send will say, welcome to CareerEx server. That's what it will say. Welcome to CareerEx server. Any question on this? Please ask your question so that we can continue. Any question on this? If there is no question, drop a thumbs up so that I can continue. Any question? If there is no question, please drop a thumbs up so that we continue. All right, thank you. So I have an API here, and the name is called test server. Now, sometimes you can call it welcome server. Okay, we can write yes. You can write this. Now, we're going to come to that part. This thing I'm writing request here, you can call it anything, HHH, call this one GGG, and then come here and say, sorry, this is supposed to be GGG. They're not the same thing. Come here and say GGG. You can call it anything, but you know that the first one here represents the request. The second one here represents the response. So these are the two objects that every API accepts. It will accept the request and it will also have the response. So you can either type it as short requests and response, and then come here and change it to rest. But you just know the first one is the request, the second one is the response. So whether you type it in full or you use another name is just for you. The MVC is like a rule, a standard rule. If you want to write a backend that will be judged as a global backend, it will follow the MVC rule. We will get there. We're not there. We need to first write the backend first. So that's how they judge your backend, that your backend is a globally accepted backend. But for now, we're just writing the backend first. Let's get it first. The rows of request as a parameter, we're going to come to that place. We're coming there. It carries the payload. Yes, it carries the payload. If we write res before, if you write res here, you just know that this is not res, this is request. Whatever you put here is request. So even if you call it response, it is not response. It is the request, because that is the first one it accepts. So that's why you're getting an error. And also it will make sense to other developers. Yeah, it will not. So I'll keep this like this and test it. Now go over to Postman and make a request to this endpoint. The name is test server and the request type must be what? A get request. I did not get it from anywhere. I typed it myself. I can type it again. I'll come here, say app.get, which is the type of the request, and then put / test server. Come here, write a function, which is an arrow function. So I wrote it myself. I did not get it from anywhere. Then inside the function, I want to send a response dot send, and what it will say will be welcome to CareerEx server, like this. See, the / here is needed, and we're going to talk about it later. So I'll go over to Postman. This is my Postman. Now, by default, the request that is selected here is called get. So you keep it as get. Now we need to type in the URL of our backend. But right now, our backend is not hosted anywhere. So the URL should be a URL that will point back to my computer. That is what we call local host. Now, if you want, once you type local host is a domain name that is masking an IP address that will point back to my computer, because that is where the server is running. The server is running on my computer. So if I type localhost is a domain name that is masking an IP address. I think it's 1.2 something. So it's like it's masking the IP address that is going to point back to my computer. Localhost, then colon, and attach the port which my server is running on. So this is the IP and this is the port. Two of them together will connect me to my backend, which is running on my computer. And make sure that the port is 8,000. So that's why it must be 8,000 here. This is column and not semicolon, and there is no space anywhere. There is no space anywhere. So this is the URL address that will point back to my computer, because that is where it's hosted. Yeah, yes, you can add the HTTP if you want. It's fine. You can add HTTP. So I will then add / test - server and hit enter. It should return a message to me, the message that the backend is sending. So it says, welcome to CareerEx server. So I will repeat again. This is not working because both of them are on my computer. No, the two of them don't know that they exist. It's only when you make a request, the backend is listening, it will accept the request and send a response. The backend just accept the request and send a response. Accept the request and send a response. That is it. Now, but professionally, this first one, we don't normally give it a name. We don't give that first one a name. We'll keep it as just / because the front-end developers, most times, they may not see your documentation, they may not remember anything, they may even forget what you told them. They may forget it. So you keep it as / so that the moment they just type only the name, only the URL, it will connect. You are doing this just for the front-end developer, not for anybody. So that once they just hit that endpoint, it will connect. Mine is working. Now, for the codes, right now, I did not define it, but we're going to come to all of that. Right now, I did not, so it's coming by default. So this is the first API to test that the server is actually working. Now, I want to believe, even though not looking exactly alike, there are things here that actually looks like the basics we've done. Because this here we know is a string. I can change it to just numbers. And I will send numbers, only numbers if I want. So if I come here and send it again, it's sending just numbers. So I want to believe you understand that part. And this response.send, you've used dot before on object, because I told you that the request is an object. The response is also an object. So we are calling the send that is on the response object. So you understand? And most of these things looks like JavaScript. Now, they are all JavaScript, so don't get confused. That is done. We're going to build another one. The moment you set up your server and is listening, your next task becomes to start building APIs. As a matter of fact, that is the main job of a backend developer, to build APIs. Everybody will say just build APIs. That's all. But they don't know that building APIs are difficult. We're going to get to that, but let me not just get angry first. Because most times front-end developers can be annoying. So I will say app.get. Now this is a new API to get all the users. So when you want to start writing, for those who are not yet following, when you want to start writing, you write the app. The app here is our backend. Dot. The dot now, we want to specify the request type. It can be a GET request, a POST request, or any of those requests. So, but I want to make it a GET request. Inside the GET request, I'll put a name or an endpoint, and it's called /users. So without me explaining, you know that this is a GET request to get all the users. So if you want to get all the users, this is exactly how you will call the endpoint. And then you put a function here, an arrow function like this. So I have an arrow function. Once you call this endpoint, the function will run. The function is supposed to handle the request. Who said front-end guys are? Front-end guys like making things difficult, unnecessarily difficult. I'm also the front-end person, but sometimes most of the time I do back-end because of my experience. So they put me on the back-end most times. But you see a lot of front-end gives you issues because they don't want to do the difficult job. They want the back-end to do the difficult job. So here it will accept the request object and accept the response object. Then here it will send a response.send, and the message will be list of all users. Now this looks exactly like what we did the first time, because all APIs look the same. They follow the same format like this. So /users, the request, and the response. So I will need to call this endpoint on Postman to see if it is going to return this. So I'll head over to Postman, click on the plus button, type in localhost again, then put the port 8000 and /users. Make sure the request type is get, because that is what is specified on the backend. So if I hit send, it says list of users. We're not actually sending any users. We're not. So let's send users. So what I would do is I'll come here, maybe inside, and define an object. This is equal to user, or call it users. So I'm defining an array of objects that will have first name. Now I want to believe you understand this part already. First name David. So I'm just going to keep it simple, just 2 objects for the sake of those who are not following yet. So I have an array of users, 2 users, and this API is supposed to send me back the list of users. So instead of sending this text here, I will change it. So what I'm sending back is this array. So I'll comment this one out first, then write a new one here. The response dot send back the users, like this. So with this, I am sending back the users. Now, bear with me. I said I was going to take your learning a little intermediate. So this is what we are doing. So it's going to look a little off, but believe me, if you grab it, you've grabbed it. There is nothing new. Yeah, there are other new things I want to teach, but once you grab it, you've grabbed it. So here is an API to send the users. I will go back and test it and send. Now it is sending me the list of users. This is an array of users. So it's working. My get request is working, which it should do. Of course, it should work. So any question so far before I continue? Any question? If there is no question, drop a thumbs up. If there is no question, drop a thumbs up. Good. The question, this is where I was coming to. So, because you are building a backend, you are supposed to be sending response and receiving response. So you'll be sending data back and forth from the front end to the back end, from the back end to the front end. So you'll just be sending data and response. The format with which we send and receive data is JSON or JSON, whatever you want to call it. JSON. That is the format for sending data and for receiving data, JSON. So if that is the case, I'm not going to be using the keyword send anymore. Rather, I will change it to response.json. Why? Because JSON is the format with which I should send this data. Now, what I will do is I will first convert the users to JSON and then use the send keyword. But no, this .json automatically converts it to JSON and then sends it at the same time. So that is why we write response.json, because the format is supposed to be what? JSON, not just raw format. It must be JSON. So if I save it now and then come here and send again, sorry, why is it crashing? Something is crashing. It says user is not defined. It's not user, but users rather. Sorry. So you're going to have some of these errors, these users. So send it. Now it is working. So I want to believe you will transition from send and move to JSON. That being said, we've done one. Let's do another one. I just wished we had an extra hour, but we still have 30 minutes to go. Yes, it is, but if I do something like numbers and save, so if I do something like this and send it, you see the numbers is not appearing in JSON. It's not. But if I put this thing to JSON and send it, it will appear just okay. For here, I won't see it because it's automatically being converted, but you are seeing it here that it is in JSON. So there are sometimes, let's see if that's possible. Let's see. So, but let's finish up what we first, the time we have already. So there are some times when if you use send, it will not give you what you want. I can't remember the areas because it's going to get to the front end. The front end is going to have an issue with it. So that is why we don't use send in most cases, except I can't really tell. But you know what? Just keep it JSON. I don't want to go down that road so that we don't waste time. So you just know that the format to send it is in JSON. So that's done. Let's build another one. But this time, a post request. We've seen how to do a get request. You can get anything. I just use a small, will I call it, users here. So let's do a post request. So I'll come here and say app.post. The same way you write a get request is the same way you write a post request. But for a post request, you have to be sent, not compulsory, but you are using a post request because the front end have to send you something. So I'll say here /post request and say /add user. Now, with the name add user, you already know what this API is going to do. It is supposed to accept the user and send the user or save the user or do anything with the user. That is the name of the API, add user. So I'll write my arrow function like this. So this is supposed to accept the request and the response. Now, if you write a shortcut, abbreviated, make sure this is what you are using. Don't abbreviate it and then come and write it in full. It will not work. It will fail. So here, I will come here and then say response.json. Now, I'm not sending anything yet. Somebody asked a question about parameters. We've reached that point, parameters. So as a backend developer, the front end will be sending you data. You will decide where that data should come from or what it should come as. Now, the request has different part of it. In our next class, we're going to look at the different parts of the request. So the request has different parts. It's an object. Please, sir, if we are extending it, it would be better to use it to explain a little of your stats because we are lost, very lost. So if you still use an extra time for this, but there's a video recording and I'm slow. I'm very, very slow. The reason why I want to finish it up is I'm not going to see you guys again until Saturday. And I want to give you an assignment that will help you understand the backend. So that's why I'm looking at making sure I get to that part that will enable you. Yeah, the video will be out, of course, that will enable you do that assignment. But let's continue. First. So the request has the body of the request. it has params, and it also has query. These are three parts of the request that can accept data. So you can tell the front end the data you are sending, put in the body of the request, or put it as a parameter, or put it as a query. So it is your choice to decide. I want the data in the body. I want the data in the params. I want it in the wherever. So what it means is that you have request dot body. You also have request dot params, and you also have request dot query. These are different areas where you can ask them to put the data. But first, let's work with the body of the request. So you just know that you want to console log whatever will be sent in the request body. So inside this API, the post API, the name is called add user. From the name, you know they are sending you the details of the user. And where are they sending it? In the body of the request. So I want to console log whatever will be coming in the body of the request first before I use it. But if you leave this thing like this, it will keep hanging. Now, one principle or one rule of writing the backend is under any condition, you must be sending a response back at any point, whether it is working, whether the front end did an error, whether they made a mistake, the user made a mistake, send a message back. Otherwise, the application will keep hanging. If the front end makes a request to the user to log in and the user enters a wrong password or a wrong email or doesn't enter anything at all, and you are not sending a response, that application will keep hanging like that. It will be hanging. So as a backend, whatever they send you, if it's correct, you send them is correct. If it's not correct, you tell them it's not correct. If they did something wrong, you tell them they are doing something wrong. But under every condition, make sure you are sending a response back. Otherwise, the application will be hanging. So here, I'm not sending anything, but I have to send something. I'll just say successfully user, whatever it is, user saved. Now, even though it's not saved yet, but I just want to send something. Save. So what I'm trying to do is console log this and then try to send something back. So I will come to my Postman and call this endpoint. But I need to add something in the body. And I will see it in the console log. So I'll come here, open a new part, change the request type to post, change the URL to localhost. This time it is not /users, but /add user. I think it's user, small, singular, add user. So this is the request type. If I send it, it's getting me a response back, user saved. And if I check my console log, I see undefined. Undefined because I'm not passing in any data. So I just put the request URL and send. I'm getting a response, but I'm not seeing anything being logged to my console. That means the request body is empty. They are not adding anything to the request body. So how do we add something to the request body? Depending on how your Postman is opened. Yes, I will. Yes, I will. But please, go through it. A backend is not built in one day. I think why is my screen static? My screen is actually on Postman. It's static on Postman. I don't know if that helps. But please try to follow along. A backend is not built in one day, not even 1 week. So let me try stop sharing and share again. Stop sharing. Please let me know if my screen is showing now and it's not static. All right. Like I was saying, please try and follow along. We may not really, backend is not, we can't really repeat certain things on backend because it will take the entire time and you have a lot to build. Imagine if you want to build a backend application for, would I say, hospital management or for doctors and nurses. You have to book appointment with doctors and stuff. So those things take time. Even though I want to repeat, I may not repeat because of time. That's why I'm not. I want to repeat it, but I may not. So try to follow along. Try not to miss class. Even if you miss class, you have a recording. Please watch the video, watch the recording, and try to understand. Because certain things, even though I want to repeat them, I cannot repeat them. Backend takes a lot of practice, yes. But once you get it, if you get it once, that's it. If you get it once, that is it. So how do I add something to Postman? If your Postman is open full screen like this, you should see somewhere says the body here. If you are seeing all of these, you should see the body here. But if it is not full screen, if it's like my own, which wasn't full screen before, you are not going to see that body. So what do? You click on this drop down and you will see the body. So this is where you are interested in, the bodies. Here is the params. We're going to talk about the params later. Now we are interested in the body of the request. So if I click the body, it will open this and say none. So this is where you pick the data type. Is it a form data? Is it binary? Is it GraphQL? What we are interested in is in the raw data. So I select raw. Make sure it is showing JSON here. So if it's not, click on it and change it. In the body, we want to send raw JSON. A lot of beginners miss it at this point, so I'm taking my time. If you see something like this, params, you click on it and find the body. When you click the body and you see something like none, change it to raw. When you click on raw, make sure the format is in JSON because that is the format with which you send data to the backend. So if I try to type, now because it's in JSON, and I know that I've told you what JSON is. JSON is an object, key and value, but the difference is both the key and the values appear in double quotes. So this is what I will do. I will open an object and put first name as a key, and then the value should be David Sampson, and that's all. So I have succeeded in adding this to the body of my request. If I click send, it will be sent as part of the request to the backend. So I'll click send now. I'm getting a response, user received successfully. But if I come to my my server, I am still seeing undefined. The first time I did not add anything, I saw undefined. Now I have added something. I am still seeing undefined. Why? The question is this. There is something called a middleware. let me write it here. It's called middleware. Just like the name middleware. A middleware is a function that runs in the middle. It may not make sense. So anytime you want to do something, just see a middleware. For example, let's say you want to go and buy something from Kilimanjaro. Before you enter Kilimanjaro, you will see a security man there. He may check you, he may not check you, but his job is to assess you, whether from afar or from near. Assess you first. If they assess you and they see that you are a threat to the restaurant, they will send you back or throw an alarm or anything. But if they don't see any threat, they open the door for you to proceed. The next person might be the person who takes your order and ask you, what do you want? You say, I want this, I want that. If they have it, they tell you we have it. If they don't, give you another question. The next person might be the person that takes your payment. They will try to make the payment. If your payment is successful, fine. If it's not successful, it will tell you insufficient account balance. All of these persons are in the middle. What you do from the point you reach the door of Kilimanjaro and to the point where you pick up what you collected. So everybody in the middle is called a middleware. Another case is, let's say you want to make a withdrawal from a bank. Before you make a withdrawal, a function needs to run and check whether the amount you want to withdraw, do you have up to that amount in your account? Now, I know why I'm taking time to explain middleware, because it is always asked in an interview, what are middlewares? Middlewares are functions that run in the middle. We're going to look at it later on, but in this case now, the reason why our server is showing undefined is because the backend does not understand what is being sent to it. Even if it is sent as JSON, it doesn't understand it. We need a function that will accept that data from the front end, because it is moving from one platform to another platform. They're not the same platforms. Because the data is moving from one platform to another platform, we need a function that will accept the data first and convert it to what the backend will understand. So that is why it is called a middleware. It runs in the middle from the point where the request is made to the point where the API accepts the request. Before the API accepts the request, that function would have converted the data to what the backend can understand. So what is that middleware? It's called app.use. Now, you know that the app there is our backend. We are asking our backend to use a particular function. So that function is called express.json. So this is the middleware. All this BB grammar I'm speaking, this is what it is. We are asking the backend to use express.json. Take the data, convert it to what we can understand. Yes, what we know it by is what we call the body parser. So sometimes they call it the body parser. The body parser, of course, we are adding the data in the body. So this function will pass that body into the backend. Before now, you have to install a body parser, but Express has been upgraded. You don't have to install body parser. It comes directly with Express. So that's why we are not installing it. So if I save this now and send this text, you see that my backend is now seeing the data that is being sent to it because I am logging it here. Any question? So what I can now do is, instead of this, I'll cut this out, Control X. and then say I want to send an object. The first thing is the message. I want to send the message. The message is going to be this, then comma. I want to then send back what was sent in the body of the request. No, I don't have to do this. Rather, I will say come back. So if we're using Express, maybe HTTP, are we using a body parser? So long as you are using the updated Express, it comes with the body parser. But in all the updated Express, you have to install a body parser. But if you install Express now, you are installing the updated one, so you don't have to worry. You don't have to worry. All right, so this is what I can do. Since I know that the user is going to be sending me information about the user, so I can create an object here, call it new user is equal to whatever is coming in the body of the request. So I'm creating a variable that will store whatever you send me in the body. I'm not seeing it right now. I don't want to see. And I will take that user and add it here to send it back. So I'm sending a response in JSON as an object. I'm sending as an object. Inside the object is a message and the new user. This new user is whatever you send in the body of the request. So if I save it now and come back here and send, you see I have user saved successfully and there is a new user for the first name. If I go ahead and update this, maybe add a last name like that. Sorry, I already have my last name here. Let's say score or whatever it is, and then add 20 or 40 and send. You see, it's returning it back. If I go ahead and add email, for example, now it has to be JSON, so put a double quote and say example at gmail.com and send this request. It's sending me back a new user. So this is a typical post request. A post request, number one, you need to define that it is a post request. Number two, you need to add the name of the endpoint. Number three, you specify the part of the request where they are sending you the data. Is it in the query, the params, or the body? But mostly the body. Now, if you are going to accept data in the body, then you must add this body parser. Otherwise, your backend will not see it. So you must add a body parser so that whatever they send in the body, you are going to see it in the body. And then you can save it and send it back. When you send it back, here in the request, you must specify the URL, the port, and the endpoint. Then change the request type to be a post. Make sure that you select the body and it is raw JSON. It has to be raw JSON. Then you can put your JSON here. Why this is the JSON is because everything appears in double quotes, not single quotes, double quotes. That is why it is JSON. So the question is, can we put more than one request before sending instead of doing one? No, one request at a time, because the API handles one at a time. Now we're going to come to the deeper understanding of what happens under the hood, but that's like when you are now a little mature on the back end. So ladies and gentlemen, we have this. We did not complete what we wanted to do today, which means my assignment, I don't know how it's going to be. What should we do? The floor is open. But first, do you actually understand? For those who were in the last class, Those who are in yesterday's class, do you understand up to this point? Up to this post request? Please, if you do, drop a thumbs up. For those who were in the last class, do you understand up to this point? All right. So we did not finish everything. We are supposed to, please, if we can extend the class time, no problem. Is it for one? It's for our own good. Now, this is the thing I tell most of my students. I don't teach. I'm not bragging. I don't brag. I don't even come outside. People don't even know me. My friends, people don't even know me. So I'm not bragging or anything. I usually tell them, if you get the opportunity to learn backend most times, you need to study who is teaching you and see how they are teaching. If it's something you are grabbing. If you are grabbing it, my brother, invest in it. I don't say pay me money, buy data. For that 3 months that you are going to stay, buy enough data and keep. If you need to buy enough fuel and keep, buy enough fuel for electricity and keep. Everything, if you have to borrow laptop or even hire one for that 3 months, hire it and keep. Somebody was making a video on TikTok. I saw that video. She said that this is not the right time to jump into tech. That right now, tech is not favoring the beginners. It's actually favoring those who have been there, the bigger boys, those who are already learning, who has learned it before. Now, that is simply because the person who taught her did not teach her well. Most of my students are still getting jobs to date. Why? There is a difference in the class. There are people who will understand it. They cannot do it, but they know it. They can talk about it. They don't know how to do it. There are people who, I had a student one time, he learned from me one-on-one class physically. He learned it, he knows it, but he can't do it. How did he know he cannot do it? He got to Canada and got a job. After he finished his MSc in Canada, he got a job. He didn't realize he cannot do it. And that was when he was not calling me, please, I have to fix a class. I don't teach one person. For me to teach only you, I have to drop something I'm doing and then teach only you. And if that is going to happen, you're going to be paying money, big money, which I don't even bother to ask you for. So I tell most persons, invest in it, buy data, buy everything, put it. And if you think it's too much to invest, then you know what you do. Start pursuing the job while you are still learning. I know one time somebody called me and said, when I was teaching at River State ICT, a firm came from Lagos and hired all the girls immediately. They are still learning. They hired all the girls. I got another call, please send us somebody. And I looked at the 2 best students. I didn't want to send one person because they are still students. I said the 2 of you will work together as one developer for the company. I said the 2 of them's name. So why am I saying this is, if you think that the money you're going to invest is too much, then pursue the job while you are still learning. Apply for jobs. Condition yourself. Change your resume. Change your bio. Put it back-end engineer. Like whatever you learned, take screenshot, post it on LinkedIn, share it. Let it attract the job for you. By the time you get the job, if you cannot do it, bring it. We're going to use it as one of our project or something. We do that. So, but you have to invest. And before you invest, you need to check out who's teaching and take the opportunity, because it doesn't come all the time. Now, I understand that right now, it's even difficult for me to respond to all of you. Yeah, it is, because I actually have my own job. Tomorrow, I have a query to answer. The project I told you that have been built for 2 years, and they handed it over to me, and they are expecting me to know everything in it, which I don't know. They have fixed a meeting for me and the guy, the second developer, for us. 2 of us, we need to come before the board and then answer questions. So I don't have time to even respond to everybody. But when I come to class, I have your time. So now I have your time. Apply for the jobs now. Brand yourself now. If it becomes too difficult, you have my attention now. Because if you pass now, it's not as if I'm not going to give you my attention, but it may not come like that. So all of this thing I'm saying is too much grammar. how do we finish up what we have to do? Is there anybody? Should we extend? Should we continue, or should we pause here? Or we pause here? If we pause here, my assignment is not complete. That's my problem. If we pause, my assignment is not complete. All right, that's just 2 persons. How many persons are on this call? We have 52 persons. So I want to see at least 40 persons. Okay, low battery. Let's continue. You can give us areas to read on, to give the assignment. Yes, please. Go on, sir. Let's continue. All right. Continue. I'm seriously sorry for myself. Yeah, I don't want anybody to be lost. I don't want anybody to be lost. So this is what I will do for the assignment. Now, you know how to write a post request. You know how to write a get request. I will restrict the assignment to just these 2 requests. A post and a get request. So the second thing now you have to do for me is this. The previous assignment, I will have to bring it back. The last week assignment, I'll bring it back. Instead of writing just a function that will console log something, you are now writing an API that will return something. What do I mean? Now, we already know how to write an API to send and return, which is this. So I'll come here to CareerEx, your CareerEx. Please listen to my assignment so you understand how I explain it. I'm explaining it actually. So in the assignment, which is week 5, I'm going to bring this back to week 6. You are still going to copy this drop. When you copy it, you are not going to be pasting it inside any of the API. You will paste it outside of the API as a global variable. Because if you paste it inside this API, it will work for only this API. All right. So you're going to still copy this, copy it. But here now, when we say get all drugs that are antibiotics, you are writing an API that will return all the drugs that are antibiotics. And I'm sure you know how to do that. Simply, if you have a global variable here, inside your get request, you call the array, do a filter, and return the ones that are antibiotics. Does that make sense? Is it clear? This one I explained now, does it make sense? Is it clear? If it's clear, drop a thumbs up. I want to be sure you understand what the assignment is before I give it. All right, I will explain again. This is the previous assignment. We want to bring it back, but this time for APIs. You are going to still copy this array. You copy this array and paste it in your project. Of course, you will have to set up a server. I don't need to tell you that the server is the first thing you set up. You set up your server, you make sure you have your script. The 2 scripts are compulsory, and make sure you install Express. You've also installed Nodemon. Do those ones first. That's the basics. But you will paste the array here above the APIs, not inside the API. Above the APIs, outside, if possible, under this lesson, under the lesson, so that you don't paste it inside the API. Because if you paste it inside the API, it will only work for that API. It will not work for any other API. So you paste that array under or outside the APIs. That's the first thing. But the second thing now is, for each of these questions, you'll be writing APIs for each one. So that means you're writing 10 APIs. The first API is returning antibiotics. Yes, if you can, paste in a separate file if you know how to do that. We're going to get to that actually. So you are going to write an API that is a GET request. You call the name of the array, which is drugs. You filter the array, and then you return the result for your filtered antibiotics. That's the question for number one. Do you understand that? So drop a thumbs up if you understand that. Okay. I want to see those who said they didn't understand before to say they do. So all of us, you are writing APIs for them. No longer arrays. You're writing API. So you write an array, you write an API that will return all the dog names in lowercase. You write another API that will accept category. So that means in your request, don't forget to sign that. In your request body, you should be sending category. Use the category that is sent in the body. The body is something like this. So that means you are writing a post request here in the body. So if you are sending category, it will be body dot category. Now, whatever your key is, I want to believe your key will be category. So you say category will be something like this. So request body dot category. You are doing dot category because they are sending category. And you can also do a check and say, so that you don't fail it, say if not category. If there is no category, then return. You want to return. And maybe you can send a response while you are returning to return a response for JSON, like that, as the case may be. So that's question number 2. Number 3, the same thing. You're going to return all the names of the drugs and their manufacturer. You return all the drugs that require prescription. So basically, you're doing a post request and a get request. You're doing a post request here. Where else are you doing a post request? Use for each to count. So this returns the count, but it's not a post request. Function that takes. Now you're doing a post request for the manufacturer's name. Your brain is hot. That is the backend for you. But don't worry. Before you do this thing next week, it becomes easy. And after it's easy, every other thing just follows easy like that. But don't worry. Do the assignment, try it, and let's see what you get. Research about it, let's see what you get. So you are doing how many post requests? 1, 2 post requests, and then the 8 of them are get requests. Yeah, the assignment will be posted on the dashboard, but you already know what the assignment is. I had to explain the assignment so that nobody will ask what is the assignment. So, but I'm going to copy it again and post it, but now it will be for APIs. You're now writing APIs. All right, if you understood that and we're okay to end the class, you can drop a thumbs up. If not, ask your question. So please open the portal. I'm still thinking about open. Now the thing is, you know what? Let me still think about it. How do we know that I'm going to open the assignment? So you have from now, just after class, from now to 11 p.m. to submit it. I'm going to open it. but I will not open the assignment again after Friday. How do you know that what port I'm running? We just did that. We did that here. You might just decide to concatenate the port together with the strings. So that is how you know the port you're running on. Why does question 9 feel like a get request? It's actually a post request. Question 9 is write a function that takes the manufacturer name. No, but this time it's going to be an API that would accept the manufacturer's name. So it's a post request, not a get request. If you are sending something, it's a post request. Yes, the post requests are not getting saved yet. We'll get to that point. Right now, just do everything within the backend. We're going to talk about database later. Yes, I'm going to grade it separately from the last one. Yes, I'm going to, I have not written it. I'm going to write it. You're going to read it and understand, but I just had to explain it first, what it will be. You are not guessing port. You're not guessing the port. You know the port you set here. That's the port. Whatever port you set here. If you're not sure, you log it to see the port. You don't guess the port. I'm sure you'll get yesterday's videos today, but today's one, I don't know if you get it this night. How do you post in Postman? Now, to post in Postman is simple. If you open a new request, this is a new request. By default, it will say get. You change it to post. That's the first thing. The second thing is you type the URL, which is going to be local host. Local host. Then you add your port. My own port is 8000. Then your endpoint. My endpoint was add user. You add your endpoint. Now here it is saying params. If you make it bigger, you will see body. This is the body here. But if you are not seeing body and you are seeing params, which is something like this, you are seeing params, it's fine. Still click on it and go to the body. The reason is you want to add it in the body. This thing here, we are specifying the body. That this category will be sent in the body. So since it will be sent in the body, you specify the body, change it to raw. It has to be raw. And then it must be in JSON. Then you add your JSON and then say category like this. And then whatever the category is, you type it in here and you send that. But you must have this enabled. So what I'll do is let me just push this thing to GitHub so that you have it with you. So I'll do git add dot git commit dash updated. It says well did not specify the part. Okay, I'll add the M. Alright. I forgot to remove git ignore. Git ignore. Now don't worry, I'm going to teach you all of this later when you already know what we're doing. Node underscore modules. Then still copy it again and do it. Save that. Come here, do it again. See. Should be master. There's some refs do not match. So what's my branch? Main. right, so I think I can then share this with you if I refresh this. All right, sorry you're going to learn all of this, but for now, I just want to be sure you can do the assignment one step at a time. One step at a time. So, what is the question again? I think I've explained this one. Yes, you can get the port while running. Yes, how do you trace the error? You will see an error message. Whenever you get an error, just go to the top. Like when I had my error, the top here, that's where you see the error message. It says user is not defined, not the last part. At the top, you will see the error message. It will tell you what you're doing wrong. Number 9 will take a parameter and get the data from the array. Looks like a get request. It's not a get request. It's a post request because it is accepting something. You are sending something. So it's a post request. A get request, you don't send anything. Like here in the get request, see, we're not sending anything. This is another get request. We're not sending anything. But a post request, we are sending data. Another post request, you are sending data. So you must send data for post request. I have not graded at all. I have been submitting. Really? You have been submitting? Oh, Shadrach, I need to find out what is going on because I have not seen your code, your project. I have not seen it. All right, guys. I think we have done all of that. Is there any question? Wait, did I save these things before sending? Let me push it again. The same way you submit assignment, that's how you'll be submitting it. Push to GitHub. And when you are pushing to GitHub, remember not to push node modules. That is why I added git ignore to ignore node modules. So don't push node modules. Post send you, you receive data based on what you send. Yes. Case, but I feel a get request can take parameters. Yes, a get request can take parameters, but I haven't taught parameters. I taught body. But if you know parameters, you want to go by parameters, it depends on what the question will say. If the question says in the body, fine. If it doesn't specify, then you can use anyone. I did not see that. If I did, I will grade it. All right, guys. So in the apps, if there is no more question, please drop a thumbs up so that we can end today's class. If there is no question, please drop a thumbs up so that we can end today's class. Thank you. Please, I'm looking forward to your assignment. This particular part of the assignment is very, very important. That's the only way you can guarantee that you are learning. If you cannot do it, then you are learning. But if you do it, believe me, you are going to build a standard backend. If you can do this without me teaching it right now, if you can do it, you're going to build a standard backend. All right, bye. See you next week or this week Saturday, actually.